422-3902. Continuing, some critics may quarrel that it's either arrogance or madness to claim that a person's inner voice is God. Yet even the staunchest atheists would have to admit some truth to the principle that problems cannot be resolved from the same state of the consciousness in which they were created. How many times over and over have you possibly heard that in your life? Think about that for a moment. Think about all the times that your parents, your teachers, your mentors were helping you to further in something that you were trying to succeed with. Life, hello. This in turn implies that there exists a possibility, and we all have access to, when we take time to stop, look, and listen. To each of us, to find ever-expanding perspectives and states of consciousness from which we can express wisdom far beyond the limits of our ordinary lives. When someone is capable of reaching such a place, it hardly matters whether you call it God, Divine Mother, myself, or George Washington. I can tell you from my own experience that this living network of angels at God Central Station, which unfolded both of my television shows, Weekly Angels Talk, Soul Relationships, and tonight's Calling All Angels Hotline, clearly comes from going inside, access, taking time to access, to stop, look, and listen, and to question, what am I here to do? Where am I going? When is it happening? How can I do this? Never really became an issue. The unfoldment of this living enterprise, I say, all came from taking that time to sit quiet and allow myself to listen. Just listen to that inner voice and to discern which direction to take. I must admit, sometimes it's not easy. However, sometimes it's simple. It's simple. And it gets easier and better every minute. And life begins to develop a quickening. I call it holy shift. For me, that is. And that's how I got here today. Hi, Lance. I want to thank you tonight for stepping up and taking a leap of faith to be here tonight, Lance Gradell, who's behind camera number 2. And he just motioned for me to look at you over there. So before seeing this film is what I'm going to talk about now. The critic talked about feeling a prejudice to provide a glowing review. He states, I have a predetermined inclination to want to see such films do well because I want the film industry to produce more fare of this type for my own personal enjoyment and because I feel a commitment to encouraging the dissemination of spiritual ideas. Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on your point of view, despite my routing interest, I view the film with an open mind, and as a consequence, my prejudgment of the film did not entirely hold up. I'm Sandra here tonight talking about conversations with God. Imagine that film. Imagine the movie. Imagine your life conversing with God. I want to hear from you. I want to hear about your thoughts, your words, your shared experiences. If anyone ever had an experience out there where they've gone from the bottom to the top, I want to hear from you. Our number is 422-3902 here tonight on the #1 access station in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Call me up. I want to hear from you. The critic goes on to say, some of the elements of the philosophy of Walsh's God may be difficult to swallow. Imagine that. Even for card-carrying members of the New Age. Hello, New Age? For instance, the thought is expressed that when choosing how to make a living, the highest good is to do what you love. That's right. Contrast this with the fundamental message of love what you do from The Peaceful Warrior. Has anyone seen that movie yet, The Peaceful Warrior? Another spiritually oriented film this year based on a semi-autobiography bestseller. Remember a few months ago when, oh God, maybe time really does fly when you're having so much fun. Remember the making of the Celestine Prophecy? That was a fun movie to watch. And it's fun to reflect some of the principles from that movie. Continuing, there is certainly something to be said for C.W.'s approach of don't do it if it doesn't feel good. However, one can imagine many who would rely on this value as justification for avoiding the commitment to confront and work through a difficulty and instead attempting to seek happiness by shifting from one job to job and location to location and fitting from mate to mate. Geographic cures really rarely provide a lasting resolution to any problem because, as the saying goes, wherever you go, there you are. I'm Sandra here tonight on Calling All Angels HOTLINE. The number is 422-3902. We want to hear straight from the heart, mind, and soul of you out there, all of you listeners in the Fort Wayne, Indiana area. Interestingly, there were some other things that come to my mind about the movie. These were my notes. Can you see? I highlighted them. They're color-coded and came directly from the movie. One of the things that it says that I found phenomenal in the movie was, where is it? Oh, what was he talking about? He was talking about, oh, there was a question. Let me see where it is. Do you really want the answers? Huh? Or are you just venting? That was something that somehow, in some way, that part was scripted in at least 3 times within the movie Conversations with God. Do you really want answers? Or are you just venting? Imagine that again, as we're all having a conversation with God every moment, all of the time. How many of you out there listen from the highest mountain? And when I say highest mountain, I say from the higher self of who you are and what you are. How many of you out there listen from that? Because when you watch the movie Conversations with God, I really didn't find that piece of the movie until the very end, as there was a part that was played in the beginning that was replayed at the very end, where Neal was